everyone. My name is Tracy Ann. I am the mother of a son with special needs. I started to notice some signs that my son had special needs when he was about 13 months. I started to see little things here and there, like, when I pushed his shoulder and stop, he would just scream. And I just started to notice some little things, especially the first time when I took him to a birthday party in one of my cousin's house. I remember seeing the other little kids, which was, I think, about maybe a few months younger than he was at the time. The music started to play, and they just came over and they were just dancing away. And I just started to look at my son, and he was so busy trying to tear away the decorations and mess with the cake. But none of the other kids were doing that. Not to say that that's the reason why, but that was part of my reasons. I just started to see that maybe he's not really hearing properly. Maybe he's not hearing the music, because it's kind of like intuitive. When you hear the music, a child just starts to, even if they start to shake their leg, their head, whatever they start to shake, they just started to dance. And I was just wondering. So I mentioned this to a couple of my cousins, and I said to them, I said, I think something is going on with Avery. He's just not doing what a lot of other kids are doing, and especially with the little babies, dancing. It's like he can't hear the music. So one of my cousins said to me, maybe it's just hard-headedness, he's not listening, or whatever the case is. I'm from Jamaica. In the Caribbean, hard-headedness means that the child is not listening. So anyway, I was concerned, so I started to go online, just regular Google, put in things that I would notice, and it was coming up, that he wasn't really fitting the criteria of having autism, because a lot of things like walking on the tippy toes, or just little stuff that he didn't fit quite. So I scheduled an appointment for him to see his regular doctor, and I voiced my concerns. This is what's happening, and I even mentioned that whole thing about the birthday party and the music. So when I mentioned that, that he didn't dance, it's like he wasn't even hearing the music. And the first thing that his doctor said was, maybe he's deaf. So I'm going to send you for a hearing test. So they scheduled us a hearing test. We went and did his hearing test and everything, and he was hearing fine. I was just, at this point, I'm like, something is going on with him. I just can't quite put my finger on it, what it is that's going on with him.
Okay.
So I started to do some research again. I reached out to a place called All About Kids. All About Kids. And they sent a team of people out to the house. I didn't have to go anywhere. They send out people, OT specialists, social worker, bunch of people, team of people. Just a team of people came out to do evaluations. So we did the evaluations, and they said, Mommy, he's just a little bit delayed. But, some things are still happening. The screaming at night, the riding his shoulder, that once his shoulder stopped, he would just start to scream. Like the ride soothed him. And once it stopped, it was over, he would have a fit. I said, no, something else is going on with him. And a lot of times, as mothers, we just know. Inside, we know something is not right with our children. We can feel that something is not right. And I just was not going to listen to a little delayed. He wasn't doing a lot of things that he should be doing, saying things that he, a child his age. He was hitting milestone, like walking. Physically, he was fine. And physically, he's still fine. But just, cognitive stuff. Like he wasn't doing things that, you would hear a little baby would do, like cooing and all these things at the time. So I reached out back to All About Kids, and I said, I'm not satisfied with this diagnosis. A little delay is not what's going on here. I believe that they send out a psychologist, and He came into the house. I had to wait. Actually, had to wait for a few months. He came into the house. I think it was April 10th, 2014, 2013. Anyway, he came in and he had a little pulley suitcase, and I remember Avery running to get the suitcase, and you know, he likes the wheels. The wheels were spinning, and he got down on the floor. He started to play with the wheels, and he said to me, "Mommy, I have a diagnosis for you." And even though I knew something was wrong, I still didn't want to hear those words, "I have a diagnosis for you." I remember hearing him say, "Your child has PDD-NOS." And it meant he had pervasive developmental disorder not otherwise specified, which now everything is like grouped under one thing. It's really autism. He had autism. And I remember crawling into bed that night, and I just started to cry. I just had a full breakdown, because now I'm just like, he's not gonna have a regular life. This is what's, you know, things start to go through your mind. You have 1,000,001 question. You start to think all type of things now. Did I do something wrong during my pregnancy? Did I do something wrong raising him? Did I say something? Did I eat something? Did I drink something? You start to question yourself. You have 1,000,001 question, because now it's like, what do you do? What do you do now? You know, this is a diagnosis. I'm a first-time mom, and this is what I'm being told. This is about my baby. This is my baby. And I cried so much. I think I maybe cried for maybe 2 weeks when they told me finally. And then I just said to myself one morning, I said, this is not about you. This is about Avery. And you have to now start to look for things to try to help your child. And I felt so alone, like I was just battling everything by myself. You know, I was living with someone, but it felt like I was just by myself. I felt like I was the only one being diagnosed. Even though Avery was diagnosed, I felt like I was the only person that could understand and try to understand what's happening and try to help my son. And that's exactly what I did. I started to look for things that I could get him in. What should I do next? What's my next steps? And I started to do a lot of reading and research, and you know, calling different numbers and getting things in place. And I'm glad I did, because if I didn't do all that stuff early, we wouldn't be where we are today. So I wanted to have a little, you know, discussion later on, like maybe part 2 of telling you what I did after the diagnosis. What I did after everything was settled and the smoke cleared and reality kicked in and I got myself into gear. I wanted to be like the best advocate for my son. And that's exactly what I did. I took it on, and I want to share, and because a lot of parents are out there, and I know that it's hard when you first hear these words, autism, and don't know what it is. It's a complicated road to travel. It still is. And I feel like I can be one of those voices, especially to my Caribbean people, because a lot of time we hide things. When things happen to our kids, we are known to sweep it under the rug, push it aside, hide the children. And it's not that way. It doesn't have to be that way. There's help out there. You just have to know how to navigate it, how to get it, how to get the, just like a farmer, a circle around your child basically, and get everything into gear. So that's why I wanted to talk a little about, our journey, how we got the diagnosis and what happens after. So if you're interested in hearing more from me, I have a lot to say and I can give a lot of information and I can answer a lot of questions. I'm not an expert, but I do have a personal growth in this. Personal growth came with a lot of stress, pain. Not everything about it is sad and weary and stuff. We still have good times. This, I still love my son. I still support him 100%. So join me in this journey. You will see me again. Thank you so much. Have a good night.